Is it? Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Dear students, let's talk about bioethics and its various application in the healthcare situation. So guys, one of the things here that we'll be talking about is sexuality and human production or human reproduction. So there are a lot of things that we can deal on an ethical perspective when it comes to human sexuality. And as nurses, we are actually trained to deal with concerns on sexuality. We are also trained to deal with concerns in maternal and child nursing and also family health nursing. So when we talk about sexuality, we are dealing with the concerns among men and women. As you can see, we are not only focused on women's health, but also men's health. That's why we do not say that abuse is only common among women, because men are also victims of abuse. Then, other than that, we are also dealing with different genders that we have. Class, when I say gender, give me examples of gender perspectives. Give me examples of gender perspectives. What are the types of gender that we have, students? Can you give examples? Sige na. Pag sinabi kong pag sinabi kong sex, you have male and female. When I talk about gender, what are the examples of gender? Can somebody give me an example on that?
Bisexual or lesbian, sir?
Okay, lesbian. So class, if I be talking about gender, we already have a lot right now, no? So may mga LGBTQ and the other things also that we would want. Okay, there are a lot of things now that we need to consider on gender. So you have LGBTQ, no? Those are the things that you need to look into. So take note of that difference. When I say sex, men and women, and then when I say gender, it refers to LGBTQ. Sala pa ng G ko, no? LGBTQ. So what do we mean by that? In the hospital setting, we are actually more concerned of the sex when it comes to the physiological functioning of our patients. But then if we would want to look into the social perspectives of our patient, we are considering the LGBTQ. As nurses, guys, we should not, no? For example, mahambal ka nga, I hate gays, no? Halimbawa, sabihin mo na you hate gays. In a while. Halimbawa, you will say, I hate gays. Even if you hate gays, students, as nurses, you don't have a choice but to deal with these patients when you are in the clinical setting. Even if you hate lesbian, even if you hate men themselves, no, you do not have a choice but to deal with these patients in the clinical setting objectively. So hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na ayaw ko ng mga bakla, nakakainis sila. Okay? That's why, guys, when we are dealing with these patients, the first thing that should come into your mind is that you should have known your self-perception. When you are dealing with your patients in this setting, you should have known your self-perception and then your own point of view. Okay, your own perception and then your own point of view. In other words, guys, we are doing what we refer to as your self-assessment. So when we do your self-assessment, you will be able to reflect already. Am I okay if I'm handling gays? Am I okay if I'm handling women? Am I okay if I'm handling lesbian? Because if you have some preemptive ideas about these different sexuality or gender, you will have difficulty on dealing with them. For example, if you hate gay people, guys, the tendency is that when you are caring for them, you have a tendency to hate them also on the way that they are being portraying themselves in the clinical setting. Okay, so ang tendency is that you will hate how they portray themselves in the clinical setting. So for example, kahit wala silang ginagawa, class, no? Kahit wala silang ginagawa, ang tendency is that you will hate them on what they do. Okay? Ang tendency is that you will hate them on what they do in the clinical setting. And this sometimes would be projected to your patients. So please, don't do that. And then if you really hate them, you might need to undergo counseling programs. You might need to undergo therapy yourself so that you will be able to address these patients properly. Okay? Marami, class, in the clinical setting, you will see couples who are gay and lesbian and then they have their own children. You will see couples, I have seen patients who does not want to be called sir because they took effort to have their changed, no, to have their sex changed. I have this patient one time that he or she came in for removal of stitches. I was not yet very aware then of the, ano tawag natin dyan, plastic surgery being done in Thailand, no? And then he had his surgery done in Thailand. And then I addressed him as sir because I've seen in the data sheet that he has given that he is a male. But then he was offended that I called him sir. Alam mo nung sabi niya, I spent a lot for my face to be pained and then you will address me as sir. It's very insulting on me, said the patient. No? He was insulted that I address him as sir. So, class, if you're dealing with these patients, one tip that you can have is to ask them if how they want to be addressed. No? Gusto ba nilang tawaging ma'am? Gusto ba nilang tawaging sir? And you know what? It's even safe to call them by their first name. It's even safe, class, to call them by their first name. Okay? So, kaya nga, no, katayong mga Filipinos kasi, we are very sanay on having the ma'am and the sir. But sometimes in instances like this, mom and sir might not be very beneficial for your patients, but instead it might be best for you to call them hi Jo or hi Jonathan, hi Sarah, or whatever their name is. Okay? Now, when we're dealing with sexuality, these are some of the issues that would arise. Interventions that bring life through various human interventions. No? So what do I mean by that? For example, right now, class, you already have your in vitro fertilization. When I say in vitro fertilization, for example, the sperm of person A may be taken, and then this could be given to person B, who is a woman, that could be injected, no? And then that would allow for fertilization. So some are still questioning it because some are saying that is not an act of God, no? That is contrary to what God would wanted us to be. But you know what? In vitro fertilization offers an opportunity for those who are unable to get pregnant. It offers an opportunity for them to conceive. No? And then even right now, you even have your surrogate mothers. I don't know if you've heard about surrogate mothers. So guys, when I talk about surrogate mothers, I could ask someone to carry the child for me. No? For example, me and my wife. If me and my wife decided that, for example, my wife does not want to get pregnant because she does not want to carry the child, okay? The doctor could get her egg, the doctor could get my sperm and then make them meet in the laboratory and then implant that egg and sperm to another woman. That would allow that woman to carry our child as a surrogate mother. There are already things like that. And if you would look at them, if you would look at these things, this has risen because of women's advocacy and then because of women's choice and our advocacy towards that. Diba? And even class abortion, there is a question whether we would want pro-life or do we want it to be pro-choice. No? So the questions here of having interventions is that some are asking, is it still ethical that we are doing this? Is it ethical that we are moving, quote unquote, against the act of God? But others are saying that God has given us this technology so that God has allowed us to deal also with the problems that we have. No? That's why, my dear students, one advice, by the way, that I can give you is that when the argument pertains to religion, I would suggest do not argue with it. Do not argue with it. You know, nakakainis pakinggan pag sinabi ng isa, according to the Bible, blah, blah, blah. And then another would answer, according to the Bible, blah, blah, blah. Eh wala naman tayong papupuntahan, di ba? Tapos mag-argue pa. What is more reliable? Old Testament or New Testament? So I think that argument is useless. No? So please do not embark on that. But on ethics, no, if you would look at it, we can already have number, genes, and genetics when we are dealing with babies. We can already decide how many babies would we have, how many children would we have, what are the genes that we like, no? What are the genes that we don't like? If you would go to the sperm bank, you might not know that if it is my sperm or not, but you will be able to know the characteristics, no? Nakalista dyan. Dark, tall, handsome. Tapos siguro nakalista pa dyan na these are the qualifications, these are the academic achievements, good in math, bad in science. Things like that. And you get to choose already. And people are asking, oh, pwede lang na? Okay, can we just do that? No? Can we just do that? I will try to give you a documentary, ha? I am not giving you documentary just for the purpose ng parang may requirement kayo. But I have seen a documentary one time. You call these doctors kasi fertility doctors. Ha? You call doctors specializing on this as fertility doctors. Now, what's one thing with these fertility doctors, no? There was a case class in the US. I forgot the state where it's from. Um, all the while, women thought that the sperm that they receive is from the donors. And then after 3 decades, no, I saw this in Netflix. After some decades, natingala sila, nagtaka sila, bakit daw na on the genetic pool that they have, on the gene analysis that they have, it would appear that they have a lot of siblings. Tapos it turned out pala upon investigation that instead of the sperm of the donors, instead of the sperm of their husband, what the doctor was using was his own sperm. Okay, what the doctor was using was his own sperm. By the time that I saw that documentary, they have reported that they were already 100 siblings. Now there are already 100 siblings from the same sperm, that of the physician who's doing it. So this physician was very big in their town. No? He was like big in church. He was like he's like the best fertility doctor, but all the while he's using his sperm. Now all the while he is using his sperm. I tried to find the title of the documentary. No, I think the title was Our Father. I think it's Our Father. You try to look into it. If there's an available in YouTube, I will make it a reaction paper on your part. Huh? Because it will expose you to the questions on ethics. Even I myself as a nurse did not think that this could be done. No? Even I as a nurse did not think that this could be done because it's unethical, of course. No? It's unethical for us actually to do it. Okay? So those are some of the questions that we are facing right now. Then, now, when does life begin also? If I would ask you, when does life begin? Will it begin by the time that the baby has a heartbeat? Or will it be by the time that the sperm cell and the egg cell met? What do you think, guys? When does life begin? Can you throw it in chat so that I can just see ideas? When do you think life begins? Is it by the time that the sperm cell and the egg cell met? Or is it by the time that the baby already has a heartbeat? What do you think? When does life begin? Sige na, chat. Don't worry, there are no right or wrong answers here. Okay, somebody saying has a heartbeat. Okay, acknowledge. How about others? By the time egg cell, okay, egg cell and sperm cell, okay? Sige, tuloy lang. Tuloy nyo lang ideas nyo. That would still count as your participation. No? Now, guys, that's the question. No? That's the ethical question that would actually respond also to the question, when can abortion be done? No, it actually also answers the question, when can abortion be done? Okay? So, basically, guys, some are saying that abortion can be done as early as possible because the baby does not have life yet. But then others would say that by the time that sperm cell and egg cell met, there's already life because you're talking about cells there, and cells is considered to be the basic unit of life. So kung makita ninyo, wala po akong fixed answer. I don't have a fixed answer there, no? Okay? If I would say sperm cell and egg cell, or by the time that there would be a heartbeat. If you would look at it, class, the time that the baby would have a heartbeat will be already at around 12 weeks, no? Heartbeat class would be available already, could be audible already at 12 weeks. Okay? That heartbeat class is audible using your stethoscope at 20 weeks. Using your fetoscope, it will be audible at 12 weeks. That leaves also to the question, is morning after pill ethical? Is morning after pill ethical? If you've heard of morning after pill, as I have mentioned it also one time, class, this is the pill that is taken usually by rape victims. No? For example, you had sex last night, and then you know that you were fertile last night and you don't want to give birth to the child, morning after pill is among the pills being prescribed. But the question is it ethical? What about if last night the sperm cell and the egg cell already met? Okay? So there are things like that that comes into question. No? And then, is it okay to terminate pregnancy if I know that the child would become abnormal? If I know that the child would have a genetic disorder, is it okay to terminate the pregnancy? Okay, so those are the things that are being raised there as a question. So I know, so maybe right now you're thinking, posiblehan matabo na, no? But in the cases, class, that I've encountered, it happened. It happened. I've already met a lot of people who had abortion. and then they would not tell the doctor where did they do it. No, they would usually come into the hospital. Their chief complaint would be bleeding. Why are they bleeding? Because the abortion was not completely done. Because of incomplete abortion, they went into a clinic that is not done by a certified doctor, without even the assistance of the nurse, and then somebody removed the fetus from their uterus, and then plus they would rush to the hospital because of bleeding. Okay, that's why we are learning ethics. No, that's why we are learning ethics. Now, human sexuality and its moral evaluation. Plus, when I talk about human sexuality, it refers to the totality of experiences, systems, attributes, behavior that characterize the sensation, reproduction, and intimacy of Homo sapiens. Look at the words there, totality. Look at the words experiences, systems, attributes, behavior, and then sensation, reproduction, intimacy. That tells you guys that human sexuality is parang holistic. Human sexuality covers a lot of ideas. You could not just talk about human sexuality and then talk about penis and vagina. Because human sexuality is not simply about penis and vagina. Human sexuality is about the experiences, systems, attributes, and behavior. For example, if you're dealing with somebody who is a transgender or a transsexual, now, for example, lesbian or gay, you need to understand that they have had experiences that actually led them to become gay and lesbian. Okay? They have had experiences that led them to become gay and lesbian. That's why we are not really in the position to judge these people because they have had experiences that they have been through. And then when I say that somebody is gay, it does not mean, for example, that she's just acting like a man. It does not mean that a man is acting like a woman. It's more than that. Now you talk about their behavior, you talk about their sensation, their reproduction. That's why, diba, if you would look at these people who are outrightly gay, who would tell the world that they are gay, they could actually say that I am like a woman imprisoned in a man's body. Have you heard of things like that? No? Okay, parang daw babae sila na nakakulong sa katawan ng lalaki. And you could not blame them for that. You could not blame them for that, especially that you are in the field of nursing. You could not tell them that, oh, our religion condemns that. No, because your profession does not condemn that. We actually appreciate that. We actually appreciate that. So I hope that you will be able to do that also. Now, we have this anthropological perspective when it comes to sexuality and procreation. When we say anthropology, divides the study of our development from the homo, maybe from the monkeys, from the chimpanzees, going towards us right now, the Homo sapiens. So the relationship between person and sex mirrors the relationship between the person and the body. Now, if you would look at it, our biology would remind us of the chromosomal factors. So you have your male and your female. Diba, you are reminded in your biology that you have your XX and then your XY. That determines who will be male, who will be female. Diba? So you have your XX and XY. Now, these are your chromosomal factors. Now, these are your chromosomal factors. Meaning, anthropology is telling us that from the beginning of time, it has been determined whether already we will be male or females. Okay? Then you also have neuroendocrine factors. When I say neuroendocrine factors, there are some glands that are affected by this XX and XY. For example, if you know that you will be female, you will have your ovary, and then you will know that you will have a lot of estrogen and progesterone. So meaning your endocrine system is already affected. Your estrogen and progesterone here, other than the functions that you are being taught in maternal and child nursing, you would know that it has some implications on emotions. It would have some implications on your feelings about an object. Diba? It does not just arrive there nga parang, oh, may estrogen ka, progesterone, di babae ka. No, it is actually also the basis of our secondary sex characteristics. It is actually, for example, the basis why women would have larger breasts, women would have fat pads above their vagina, and things like that. No? It's a basis of your secondary sex characteristics. And the same time, your pubic hairs are also coming from that. No? So you know that right there and then, from being male and female, we already have differences on our neuroendocrine factors. That's why, going back to ethics, we treat each and everyone objectively and individually. Okay? Objectively and individually. Now, if you're dealing with gay and lesbian people, you need to ask them if what are the treatment or what are the medications that they are taking. You would know of gay people who are taking pills just for them to grow breast. Okay, I have seen patients who would be taking pills just for them to feel that they are really a woman. Okay, that they would really feel that they are already a woman. Okay, there are things like that that you need to consider. Now, when I talk about sexuality, you need to think that sexuality marks the entire person. Okay, it marks the entire person. And this marking of the entire person is that, okay, this marking of the entire person is that, okay, in a while. This means that the person does not merely have a given sex, but is truly a complete man and a complete woman who are sexually differentiated by design, but those endowments of complementary traits can harmoniously fulfill coexistence in the world. Okay? If you would look at this, it might appear deep. No, I actually read this several times earlier. Okay, is my screen already visible? Can you see it now? Okay. But guys, the message there is that men and women are sexually different. But you know, men and women were made in such a way that we will be able to coexist with one another. Okay, it was made so that we will be able to coexist with one another, and that is by becoming a man and a woman. Okay, so that's sexuality, no? Try to search right now if what are the different types of gender that we have. I know there's just more than LGBTQ, no? Marami pa po tayo kaysa sa LGBTQ. So, marami pa po tayong ibang types ng gender rather than LGBTQ. Try to look at that and try to know the differences between them. Okay? So, with that,